Peace. This is the enemy's public, and I am Bro.Nasir. Mainstream media is giving Highland Park murderer a lot of sympathetic coverage instead of condemning a man who shot and killed elderly people who was celebrating the 4th of July, a celebration that commemorates America's independence of England. The media's focal point are biased and sympathetic because they don't talk about the upgrowing of Robert Crimo III and the domestic violence and the dysfunctionality and the abuse and the fact that he's threatened to murder people in the past. And instead of his father getting him into some type of program that may have prevented such an incident, he helped Robert Crimo III obtain his gun permits and helped him purchase 5 firearms. The media, instead of having sympathy for the victims, the media instead had sympathy by mentioning that they were losing their 2 homes to foreclosure. You know, it's kind of ironic that they have money to purchase firearms, but he can't pay the mortgage of their homes. And that's what they had sympathy for, not the fact that this man murdered some people who were in a parade. And I like to know, why are known violent people allowed to purchase firearms legally? Every time a mass shooting occurs, the authorities actually come out and say that they've had contact with these domestic terrorists, yet they are still allowed to purchase firearms. Then they try their best to associate us with this madness, that saying that Highland Park, Illinois is a suburb of Chicago. Well, I live in New Jersey, and there's a Highland Park right across the bridge from where I live. It has its own tax bracket and its own municipality. Highland Park and Chicago are not the same cities. They also refers to Crimo, the murderer, as a rapper, associating him with our culture, putting the dirt on our culture while trying to clean up Robert Crimo's image. Robert Crimo's father he denies that he knew that his son was going to do such nefarious acts, and he planned to do mass shootings. And his father said he did nothing wrong. He also said that he's holding his head up high in a very arrogant, proud manner. And he had the nerve to say that he filled out the consent form to allow his son to go through the process of getting a firearms purchase permit or getting firearms. He said they do background checks, whatever that entails. You know, it's the same as Ethan Crumley's parents buying their son a firearm for his 16th birthday, then covered for him when he purchased illegal ammunition. They were worried more about him being caught purchasing the ammo than the crime he was about to commit, like the murders he was about to commit. And they eventually arrested Ethan Crumley's parents because the mother called the son and told the son he had to be careful and not get caught buying that illegal ammunition. When these criminals commit murderous and nefarious acts, the police are reluctant to even arrest them. They have sympathy for them, the criminal, instead of the victims of the crime. The last thing that law enforcement should be worried about when approaching a murderer is whether or not he's hungry, like they did with Dylan Roof. Dylan Roof walked into a church and murdered 9 parishioners. While they prayed for him, he was praying on them. The police when they arrested Dylan Roof, they didn't even have their guns drawn. They had sympathy for him. And when they did apprehend him, they took him to get something to eat. They took him to Burger King. When black people are shot over 60 times at traffic stops and murderers are taken into custody without a damn scratch on them. In all actuality, the police should fear white men more than they fear black men, because white men shoot police and kill police more than black men. Now, mainstream media, they attempt to humanize these murderers, and they cover for police who walk into people's homes and murder them. And judges who are supposed to be hard on murderers have hugs for murderers and no affection for the family of the victim. It's not funny, yet it's ironic how in New Jersey and New York, a bomber set off bombs in New Jersey and New York, and he shot out with the police, had an actual shootout in Elizabeth, New Jersey with the police after setting off bombs in both states. They brought him in without a scratch on him. These murderers, like the murderer in Buffalo, New York, the murderer in Uvalde, Texas, the murderer in South Carolina, the murderers all over this nation, most of them are brought in when unarmed black men and women and even children are murdered. We are murdered at traffic stops when it's not even a gun call. Now, when you're chasing someone, which most states don't even allow because it's too dangerous, and when somebody's trying to get away from you, they'll run people over, they'll crash, and all kinds of stupid things happen when someone's eluding the police. Now, when someone's eluding the police get angry and they want to kill that person, which is what happened with the brother in Akron. There was not a gun call, and that police officer on the radio who said shots fired, he only did that to justify killing that man. It's the only reason why he said shots fired, and I know what a shot fire looked like. What they showed on that footage, that video footage, was not, as they would say, consistent of a gunshot. It was not consistent of a gunshot. We couldn't hear it through the dash cam, and we didn't see it on that footage they showed on the highway footage. They lied to justify murdering that brother. They cold-blooded murdered him. Anyone who shoot into a person over 60 times, but shot at him over 90 times, everybody probably unloaded their clip. Till someone had to yell, cease fire, or they probably would have still been shooting the brother until everybody unloaded their clips. That's a lot of shots. They have more sympathy for a damn animal than they do shooting into human beings. This is absolutely sickening of who we call people that's law enforcement, that's out here, dangerous criminals posing as law enforcement on our streets. Any prosecutor who's supposed to be the head law enforcement officer who are in cahoots with This what we call law enforcement do not need to be elected in serving us, because when a prosecutor present a case before a jury or a courtroom, they say the people versus whoever the defendant is. And if that defendant is a police officer, 9 times out of 10, that prosecutor is not going to want to do it, or they're going to do it reluctantly. Most of the time, they don't want to do it. Yet, the taxpayers' money is what pay that person's salary, and they are paid not to serve us. This is The Enemy's Public. I am Bro.Nasir. Like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section. Peace.